Imagine that this is God seated on his throne in the fullness of his glory, blazing, light everywhere, perfection, spotless, righteous, full of his glory and his holiness. The first meaning of righteousness means that I came and I stood here in front of eyes of fire. This all-consuming fire. I came and I stood in front of him, and he looks at me in his infinite perfection, and he says, justified. I have nothing. Can you imagine? He's looking. You see, God's eyes, they don't just see you, they see through you. So imagine that he sees through me. He sees through my cells, sees through my mind, my personality. And as he's looking at me, he does not find anything to condemn me for. I stand in front of him as if I never sinned. He looks at me as if it was Jesus who is standing there. Can you imagine Jesus standing before the Father? Will the Father see anything wrong inside Jesus? Will he have something to condemn Jesus about? Absolutely not. But now this is not Jesus. This is Ferdinand, who is in Jesus, standing before the Father now. And because of what Jesus has done, the Father looks at me, this perfect, holy, incorruptible, eternal, righteous judge of the universe. He looks at me and he finds nothing, no basis of accusation, no basis of disgrace, no basis, nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be condemned for. He looks at me and he says, justified, justified. So I have something called right standing. I stand in front of him. I have a right standing. Listen, this is the most important part of the gospel, because until you have right standing, you are not safe. Because you are an enemy. You are an enemy of that throne. You are an enemy of the king who is sitting there. Why? Because you are a condemned criminal. But once you have this right standing, you are standing before the Father with no sense of condemnation, nothing wrong, nothing. Just as if you never sinned. You are standing here. How could this be possible? We are told that was why it was impossible for us to accomplish by ourselves. It says, all of us, we have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. So we are all astray. He said, all our own righteousness, they are like what, everybody? They are like filthy rags. Because when you stand there in what you could do for yourself, he looks at you. You think you are correct and perfect on this side. He looks at this side and says, rotten, get out of this place. Somebody who is correct, very moral on several other sides, come and stand before him. And he says, corrupt inside. Then another person comes and stands there. He looks. So there is nothing. Do you know that the Moses that brought the law broke it before he delivered it? Remember, Moses brought the law. Moses, the people in the valley broke it morally. Moses broke it physically. Actually, he was carrying the law. Bah! He smashed it. So even the person who brought the law could not keep it. So if you are hoping to be righteous by doing the law, you can see that the big guy broke the thing. So what about the little ones? There is no hope. So when God saw that there is nothing we can do to make ourselves accepted before him, God decided to do something. What did he do? He made him, Jesus, who knew no sin, to become sin, to carry our sin all by himself. Why? So that once we now put our confidence in Jesus, we will be viewed as in right standing. We might become endued with, viewed as being in an example. Not just that we have become the righteousness of God, we have become examples of that righteousness. What we ought to be. So we come and we stand here in his presence, and there is no condemnation. That is the basis of prayer. That's the basis of fellowship. That's the basis. That's the foundation for worship. You see, if you are not accepted, if you don't have right standing, you are something called persona non grata. That means person without grace, a rejected person. For example, if I, as a visitor, I come here into Kenya and I do some bad, terrible things, the president can declare me a persona non grata. That's the last time you can ever get back into this country. Because you have no grace before the authorities. Can you imagine now, I don't have grace before the authorities. Then I come and I say, Your Excellency, please, can you give me land in Kiambu? Where will your prayer get to? Who will hear it? Because you are far away from where you can even talk to His Excellency. Are you following that? But once you have right standing before the throne that rules the universe, once you have right standing before the King of the universe, before the owner of planet Earth, then you can appear. I say, Father, in the name of Jesus, and heaven will open.
Maker of heaven.